Syracuse Football is in the running for two 2025 four-star recruits, and they are studs.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. On today's show, we are going over Syracuse football recruiting. We have a couple of updates regarding two 2025 four-star studs. CJ May released his final four schools. Syracuse made the cut, and the Orange are very much in play for stud quarterback Malik Washington. Plus, Syracuse football picked up a couple more recruits in the class of 2025 and in the class of 2024 as well. So a little bit of a late commitment there, but still better late than never. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So let's begin by talking about the class of 2025 four stars that could be on the way to Syracuse very soon. And let's first talk about CJ May before we get to Malik Washington. CJ May and Malik Washington are two players I mentioned on the last recruiting episode that I did, which was last week. So be sure to check that out. CJ May is 6'4", 225 pounds. He is a four-star edge from Highland Home, Alabama. He took an official visit to Syracuse from June 14th to 16th, and he recently released his final four schools. And I said beforehand, or last week, that it was highly, highly likely that Syracuse was going to make the Final Four, considering he had just taken an official visit. And lo and behold, the Orange made it. The Final Four are Syracuse, Auburn, Washington, and Louisville. So those four schools are all now competing for CJ May's services. Now, I was surprised about one thing with his Final Four. I saw a lot of analyst buzz that Ole Miss should be the favorite for CJ May, and Ole Miss did not even crack his Final Four. So that just goes to tell you that sometimes analysts will get it wrong. It happens, right? It happens. They sometimes get it wrong. So Ole Miss, with all those predictions, did not even make the Final Four for CJ May. Once again, Syracuse is in it alongside Auburn, Washington, and Louisville. Now, he does have a decision date set, and that is for July 13th. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun few weeks before CJ May announces where he will be attending school in the class of 2025. He was originally committed to Notre Dame, and then he decommitted from them in February. And I also said last week that I didn't think that Notre Dame was going to make his Final Four, and that it was pretty much set in stone that once he decommitted, he wasn't going back there. Lo and behold, he doesn't pick Notre Dame in his Final Four. Syracuse, Auburn, Washington, and Louisville all competing for CJ May. Now, here is why I think the Orange have a pretty solid chance of landing CJ May, more so than Malik Washington. I'm going to talk about Malik Washington soon. Here's what he said to Mike McAllister regarding Syracuse. They're definitely at the top of my list right now. Me being away from family that far north could be a different feeling, but just the relationships I have with them, the distance thing doesn't mean anything to me, just because the relationships I have with them are so special. So that's CJ May talking about the fact that, yeah, Syracuse is kind of far from Alabama. You do have to get on a flight. But at the same time, because he has a close relationship with his family, it doesn't really matter that much to him. Those are his words, not mine. Now, here are my two takeaways from that statement that he said to Mike McAllister. I'm not in this guy's head. And to his point, though, if the distance thing mattered so much to him, if it mattered so much, forget Syracuse for a moment. I mentioned his Final Four schools are the Orange, obviously, Auburn, Louisville, and the other one is Washington. Washington is about as far as you can get from Alabama. That's the Pacific Northwest. That's a long ways away. You think Syracuse is far from Alabama? Try Washington. If the distance thing mattered so much to him, I don't think a school like Washington, even though they just were in the national championship game, even though they're now in the Big Ten, I don't think they would have been a finalist for him if he really cared so much about the distance thing. So that kind of gives me comfort regarding the fact that, yes, Syracuse is recruiting someone from Alabama that's kind of far, and also you have Auburn and Louisville who are pretty close by. It gives me a little bit of comfort that Syracuse definitely has a shot at landing CJ May. And number two, this also reflects really positively on the Syracuse coaching staff. It really does. I have said so many times how important relationships are when it comes to recruiting. You have to build relationships with these kids. That's the only way you're really going to get them. Yeah, you can guarantee them NIL money, but so can plenty of other schools. Plenty of other schools can give you NIL money. Plenty of other schools are now going to be able to pay salaries to these players. A lot of schools have winning traditions. It's about if you can build relationships and make the recruits feel comfortable being at your school. That's what you have to do. It's not about, I'm going to promise you a starting role or anything like that. You don't have to do that. You have to just build a relationship, be honest, be a human being. And that's what this Syracuse football coaching staff has really done well in this recruiting cycle ever since they have taken over. That's the only way you would get someone like CJ May, a 4-star edge who has the pick of the litter. He can go anywhere he wants probably in the country. I mean, this is someone who's top 150 in the country. He's top 150. He can pretty much go anywhere. You have to build a relationship. And he's from the state of Alabama. And Auburn is knocking on the door trying to land him. You have to be able to build relationships. And Syracuse has done an excellent job doing that. They're trying to convince someone who's 17, 18 years old to move away from their family for the next 4 to 5 years. Yes, I know the transfer portal and everything, but you get the idea. That's not necessarily easy. So the fact that CJ May is considering a school like Syracuse, it's obviously a great sign, and I would say the odds of landing him are not, I wouldn't say likely. It's not like the Sadiq White feeling with basketball. Like I think we pretty much all knew Sadiq White was going to commit to Syracuse before it happened. The buzz out there was just all Syracuse. With May, it's like, yeah, they have a shot. Like, they have a pretty good shot at landing this kid. So bravo to the Syracuse coaching staff. Now it's about reeling him in over the next couple of weeks. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about Malik Washington and why he's probably going to go elsewhere, but still why I think Syracuse could have a shot with him. It's one thing to watch baseball on TV. That at times can get pretty boring, but going to a game in person is an amazing experience. And I'm looking forward to now watching the Mets this summer because, hey, they might actually be pretty good. I probably jinxed it, but you know what? They're playing pretty well right now, so let me have my fun. Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets, and one game that I'm thinking about attending is Mets-Astros in New York on June 28th, and I can get in for as little as $26. All you have to do is go to Gametime and search the team you want to see, and the ticket options will appear right away. My favorite part is the all-in pricing feature. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the streaming. Locked On Sports Day brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Welcome back, everyone, in the Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and on today's show, it is Syracuse football recruiting. We talked about CJ May releasing his final 4 stools. He is a 2025 4-star edge. Syracuse made the cut. His commitment date is set for July 13th, so fingers crossed that Syracuse lands the 4-star edge from Alabama. Now it's time to talk about another 4-star. This time it's a quarterback in the class of 2025, and that is Malik Washington, another person that I talked about on the podcast last week when I went over recruiting. Malik Washington is 6'4", 200 pounds from Severn, Maryland. I mentioned again that he is the class of 2025. He recently took an official visit to Syracuse and is described as an athletic pocket passer. So that pretty much tells me that he's mobile, but he likes to play within the pocket, which is good. You want someone who can play within the pocket, but also have the ability to extend plays. Not going to compare him to Patrick Mahomes, but that's essentially what Patrick Mahomes is, an athletic person in the pocket. But I'm not trying to make the comparison. I'm just saying the prototypical athletic quarterback in the pocket is someone like Patrick Mahomes. Now, Malik Washington is the second best quarterback in the country right now who has not yet committed to a school in the class of 2025. There are a lot of crystal ball predictions, a lot of analyst buzz out there that say he is probably going to commit to Maryland, but we won't know for sure until June 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's this Friday, actually, when Malik Washington announces where he will be attending school. The finalists that he has said are Maryland, of course, UCF, Virginia Tech, and Syracuse. So once again, the Orange in the Final Four for a 4-star player in the class of 2025. Here is what Washington said in an interview regarding Syracuse with 24/7 Sports' Tom Loy. He said, quote, "Once again, another program on the rise. Coach Brown is doing a lot. He got upstate New York really buzzing over the Orange. So excited to see what they do this season." And he talked about what I can bring to the table for them. This is a significant quote. Okay? It's significant. Here's why. Let's say Malik Washington, like many analysts are predicting out there, does in fact commit to Maryland. He's from Maryland. It makes a lot of sense. Maryland is in the Big Ten. That's certainly a capable football program. There's no judgment, obviously. Like, he makes the decision that's best for him. But the reason why I think that this statement that he said is significant is the part where he's talking about excited to see what they do this season, meaning excited to see what Syracuse does this season. And this is going to apply more so than just Malik Washington. Maryland can land him, but let's say Syracuse has a really, really good 2024. Let's say they have a really strong 2024, and we'll know by the time December 4th rolls around, which is the early signing period. Like, we'll know if Syracuse football had a really good year, a mediocre year, or a poor year. We'll know by December 4th. And a lot of flips happen by the signing period. I'm not saying that if Malik Washington commits elsewhere that he is going to flip his commitment. I'm not trying to say that the guy's going to decommit from somewhere. What I am telling you is that is significant because that means the recruits are always watching. They're always watching the schools. Always. Fran Brown and his staff, I have mentioned how they have done a great job recruiting. They have built the relationships with these kids. They've done an outstanding job, better than a lot of coaches in recent Syracuse memory. They really have done a great job. But there's one key. There's one more key here. Winning. Can you prove that you can coach a winning football team, because you can do all the recruiting in the world. But if you're not winning, if Syracuse is 3-7 by the time December 4th rolls around, that's not good. That's not good. It's like whatever Fran Brown would be selling to these kids doesn't actually apply. It wouldn't be true. And I'm not saying that Syracuse is going to be like 3-7 or anything like that. I think by then we'll know that they're a bowl team. But the point being is that if you win a lot, you can get these recruits that are committed elsewhere to say, oh, let me give Syracuse one final look before I sign. Because until they sign, they're free to commit, decommit, however they see fit. They can do whatever they want. I'm not saying that Malik Washington is going to decommit if Syracuse has a big year and Maryland has a bad year. What I am saying is that if Syracuse has a big year, that is more fuel to getting kids that were originally committed elsewhere to come and flip to you. And it is also a positive step in retaining the players that you've already gotten. That's what I mean. That is why it is significant. These recruits are always watching. So Fran Brown and his job, yes, they've done a great job in building relationships. Now it's about winning on the field so you can really start getting these recruits. So that's about it for Malik Washington. We'll know pretty soon where he is going to be committing. Now coming up, more commitment news on the Hill. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. On today's show, we're going over Syracuse football recruiting. We talked about the 4-star studs that could be on the way. CJ May releasing his Final Four, and Syracuse made the cut. Malik Washington also has Syracuse in the Final Four, and his commitment is coming soon. And the significance behind that is, hey, these recruits are paying attention, and if Syracuse football starts winning football games, then you can get even more recruits to come join the Orange. And now let's go over more Syracuse football commits and why it's significant that the Orange are getting a lot of depth with their recruiting. So let's start off with the class of 2024. It got a late commitment with athlete Davien Kerr. Kerr is 6 foot, 190 pounds from Bloomfield, Connecticut, and Cuse recruiting him to play free safety. He is an unrated recruit, but hey, a late addition to the class of 2024. That's good, right? Kerr was originally going to reclassify to the class of 2025, but according to Mike McAllister, Kerr got an offer from the Cuse. He then took an official visit and then committed shortly after. So he is going to be in the class of 2024. He will enroll this summer and be on the roster for next season. So I already went over the Syracuse football defensive backs in a podcast. I guess now you can add athlete Davien Kerr, a 4-star, or not a 4-star recruit, just a recruit to the back end of Syracuse's defense. Kerr has said, quote, "I decided to commit to Syracuse because I felt a connection between me and the head coach," end quote. So again, that's a good quote because Syracuse football, building relationships. That's key. The staff has not won any football games yet, and that's not an indictment on them. It's just the fact that they haven't gotten the chance to win any football games yet. They are currently 0-0. So right now, all you can do is build relationships. Like even the best recruiters like Nick Saban, yeah, you have all the wins, but you still got to build relationships with these kids. So they built a relationship with Davien Kerr, and there's a reason why he is not reclassifying to the class of 2025. He is staying in 2024 and going to be on Syracuse's roster next season. So congratulations to him. Syracuse football also added a pair of offensive linemen to its class of 2025. So let's start off with Kahlil Stewart. Stewart is 6'3", 315 pounds. He is a consensus 3-star from Philly. Stewart was originally committed to Maryland, but then he decommitted last Wednesday, and the ball pretty much got rolling from there. 2 days later, he officially visited Syracuse and then committed shortly after. He is more of an interior offensive lineman. He plays guard currently in high school, but he's also listed as a center, which is important because Syracuse has 2 centers on the roster right now, and they are both in their final year of eligibility. So Kahlil Stewart, could he be the starting center come not this season, but in the 2025 football season? Could he be? He would be a true freshman then, but it's certainly possible if Syracuse can't land another center in the portal, if they don't want to move anyone currently on the roster by then, or they feel comfortable with Stewart starting. So he could play center as well. The other offensive lineman they got is not rated, or he actually is rated on ESPN as a 3-star. Djoni Scatliffe. Scatliffe is 6'7", 270 pounds from Orlando, Florida. So 2 offensive linemen have been added to Syracuse football's 2025 recruiting class. So overall, the class of 2025 is up to 24 commits. 24. If you think that's a lot, that is a lot. That is second in the country right now, only behind Rutgers. Rutgers has also been absolutely shredding it on the recruiting trail. Greg Schiano is doing an excellent job there with recruiting. But staying with Syracuse, for context, Syracuse has 26 commits in the class of 2024. Okay, so they're basically ahead of schedule from where they were for this past cycle. That's good. Obviously, that's good. If you get CJ May and or Malik Washington, you could be already up to 25, 26. So that's big. But here's something that's even more important. Before Fran Brown got there, Syracuse football would struggle to even get 20 in their commit class. Syracuse only had 18 in the class of 2023. They only had 17 in the class of 2022. And I believe in the class of 21, they had 21, if I'm not mistaken. So clearly with Fran Brown, yes, they're getting better athletes overall. But even sometimes when they're not getting the best athletes, right? There's sometimes you're going to get 3-stars. You're going to get players that are unrated. That doesn't mean they are bad football players, but they are obviously not the cream of the crop in the country. But they're getting the volume that is required in football. How many times over the last few years have the Orange gotten battered by injuries and have got no depth behind them and they start losing a lot of games? Basically has happened every year for the past 3 to 4 seasons. Every single time. With a lot of other schools, they have the same injuries. Syracuse football is not alone in injuries. It's football. They happen all the time. But they don't have the volume in their recruiting to make up for it. They're not getting bodies in the past. Now Syracuse, at bare minimum, is at least getting players in the door. Players that can dress on game day. That's good. And yeah, they are getting better athletes. They are getting guys like CJ May to take a look and Malik Washington to take a look. But you need the volume to be successful on the field. You need the volume in recruiting. So getting 25, 26 recruits, already having 24 for the class of 2025 is significant, even though some of the players aren't rated or are rated 3-stars. It is still significant because the last few years, they have not been getting the volume in recruiting, and it has shown on the field when the injuries start to pile up every single season. So that is it for today's episode, talking about Syracuse football recruiting. Tomorrow, more schedule takeaways. Going to talk about the ACC. Also, shout out to the Florida Panthers. They did, in fact, get it done in Game 7. So, yes, I'm in a very good mood right now. Thank goodness they No one's going to remember the fact they blew a 3-0 series lead. All that we're going to remember is that they won the Stanley Cup. So congratulations to them. Back to Syracuse here. Once again, Syracuse football schedule takeaways coming tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And if you like this video, click that like button, tell all your friends. And if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you know right away when I'm dropping the next podcast. And everyone, have a great rest of your evening.